Thank you. So, welcome to the Draft Professor, everybody. We are in the middle of doing summer scouting. I'm joined today by Durst, and we're going through some players that Durst has watched and liked. And I think you said the next position you wanted to do was wide receiver, right, Durst?
Yeah, I'm excited about this wide receiver class. I know that it's getting a bad rap, especially among the Devy and the Dynasty community. They're looking at this class and saying, "Oh, that we don't have the Marvin Harrison Juniors, and we don't have some of the guys that look like they're absolute, first round locks." Usually what we really like to see is a freshman or sophomore breakout. So if you got really good production as a true sophomore, and then you come out as after your true junior year, that's really what gets a lot of people excited about the wide receivers. Early production, early breakout. We don't have the prototypical people that have had maybe like 800 or 1,000-yard seasons going into their true junior year. So I am going to hitch my wagon to Nick Harbor. So Nick Harbor is my wide receiver one going into this season, and he is an athletic freak. I've been tweeting about him for a couple of years now, comparing his, at least athletically, to Calvin Johnson. So this guy has a long way to go. He's a very unpolished receiver. He played a lot of defensive end as a high school player, but he's got essentially Olympic caliber track speed. So he's listed at 6'5", 235. He ran a 10.11 or 10.11 second 100-meter dash with a 6.61 60-meter dash and a 20.220 second 200-meter dash. So whenever he comes out, and it might be another couple of years, but whenever he comes out, we're expecting a low 4.3, possibly sub 4.3 at 6'5", 235 pounds. So he's very straight line-ish at this point. He does not have great hands. He does not have great route running. He doesn't even have great separation, even though he's so fast, because defensive backs know they just need to play off of them and just start sprinting as fast as they can. So they don't really respect his underneath routes or his ability to make tight breaks. He's much better at accelerating than he is decelerating, so he doesn't really have that start-stop quickness. But I mean, we're talking about a guy that's very similar in a athletic kind of hemisphere as Calvin Johnson. And these guys come around every 20 years or so. So if there's one guy I think that could end up being like a potentially top 5 player or a star in this class, Nick Harbor from South Carolina is the guy that I'm more excited about. Now, my second guy is a little bit more traditional. Denzel Boston from Washington's a guy I'm excited about. He's another big guy that's got a lot of power element to his game and tackle breaking. He's got above average size and very good athleticism for the position. He's got a lean but classic outside receiver build, and he's led all eligible receivers in yards after the catch. So he's a height, weight, speed, able to beat the press coverage and while playing the boundary X. Washington's got another good quarterback that's coming out, or that's going to be playing this year that I'm pretty excited about, a young guy that I think is going to really open up the offense for him. I really like Clevin Concepcion. He was a freshman All-American, so he's actually, I think, the most productive freshman season out of this. Basically, the 2023 freshman, Kevin Concepcion from NC State, now is transferred to Texas A&M. So during his freshman season, he had a little bit of Percy Harvin to his game. He had a lot of rushing attempts, lined up a lot in the backfield. There was a lot of manufactured touches, but his production really went south during the 2024 season, which probably prompted his desire to transfer to the Aggies. So as a true freshman, he was an All-American and ACC Offensive Rookie of the Year. He led all Power 5 freshman receivers in catches and in yards. And then all freshmen, regardless of position, with 10 touchdown catches. adding 38 carries for 297 yards, and even threw a touchdown pass. So I'm interested to see if he's going to become a more complete receiver with the Aggies. Again, he was a little bit more of a manufactured touch, and that hurt Luther Burden this last year. So I mean, he's a much skinnier version than Luther Burden, but I think right now, if you just go on his tape, like from freshman sophomore year, people might say, okay, he's probably more of a beginning of the second round guy, but if he can expand his game, I think he can end up being a first round guy as well. So another guy that I'm interested in, sorry, I'm trying to scroll down to him, is Brandon Enos from Ohio State. Of course, we all know about Jeremiah Smith, the fantastic freshman who people are already talking about the 2027 class. We all know about Carnell Tate. I think a lot of people, now that Emeka Egbuka is off to the NFL, people are expecting a huge breakout year from Carnell Tate. He definitely outplayed Brandon as a freshman in sophomore year, but Brandon's in a kind of a unique position in the Ohio State offense. He's going to be inheriting the slot position, which, if you remember, Jackson Smith and Jigba had 1,606 yards back in 2021 playing that slot position in the Ohio State offense. And Egbuka himself had 1,011 yards in 2024, again, primarily playing in the slot. So while a lot of people, including myself, think that Carnell Tate could be a first-round pick, there's a chance that Enos might actually end up outproducing him as a true junior this year, and being more of the second fiddle to Jeremiah Smith's number one wide receiver role on the offense. It just has to do with the way that the Ohio State runs their scheme. He might be more productive. Now he's a little bit smaller than JSN and certainly smaller than Egbuka. Looks a little smaller on film. Definitely not a speedster. A little bit more of a shifty kind of guy, but with a great feel of finding the open spots. He utilizes a lot of short and choppy steps to quickly maneuver in the short to intermediate levels of the field. He also had a combined 17 kickoff and punt returns in 2024. So there's a little bit of special team value that we might end up seeing in the NFL as well. Let's see if we can give you one more wide receiver.
Yeah, on the list you sent me, the one I'll call out, Barian Brown.
Barian Brown. So Barian Brown reminds me a lot of Xavier Worthy. So he's another guy that his best year was probably as a freshman when Will Levis was still there. But he was at Kentucky for his first 3 years and just transferred to LSU, right? So Barian Brown had a really good freshman year with Levis, but there was two freshmen there, Dane Key and Barian Brown, that was basically the leading receivers on the team, which kind of held back Will Levis from doing everything he needed to do that season. But he's a speedster as well, built around the same size as Xavier Worthy. I think he's got an outside chance of being that late first round surprise after the NFL Combine. I think prior to the NFL Combine, probably nobody's going to be talking about him as a first round pick. But once we get to the NFL Combine, if he runs as fast as I think he is, and probably in the 4.2s, I think he might end up being that guy. But the problem was that Kentucky's quarterbacking production or just the quarterbacking play just went down each of the last 3 years, or basically every season that we had out of Brown when he was in Kentucky. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do at the new school. Better quarterback play. I think he's got a chance of breaking out over at LSU. So thanks, guys, for listening to my wide receiver classes. A bunch of guys that have the potential. I know none of these guys are surefire first-round locks. They all look like day 2 guys, maybe even later. But I think one or two of these guys is going to end up being really a big surprise this season. And I think all of them have the potential to be really good NFL combine risers.
Yeah, and I want to build on a couple things you said. So first of all, Barian Brown, I think in this draft cycle is going to become a my guy for me. when we covered him last year, when we were doing scouting reports on wide receivers, we had either a late day 2, early day 3 on. So he was like, and in last year's wide receiver class, I definitely think he would have gone round 3 with the way receivers went off the board, right? But what you're getting with Barry and Brown is that he now has a quarterback. And then, like you pointed it out, right? He went from Will Levis at Kentucky to some guys at Kentucky. Now he goes to Nussmeier. So that, to me, I would say Barry and Brown, that's going to be a player I'm going to be watching nearly every week. If LSU is on TV, that's probably going to be my go-to game. I'm really excited to see what he does this